Hey, what's up, guys? You're listening to the It Takes a Village podcast. I'm Ashley, your host. This is where the struggles are real, the callings are heavy, the kids are sticky. We come together because it takes a village, and this is your tribe. Hey, what's up, guys? Today I want to talk about something that used to be a really touchy subject. I know it went viral for a long time, and this show really created a lot of buzz for parents and teens. And so today I am sharing with you guys the reasons why my husband and I chose to watch the show 13 Reasons Why. So I know a lot of you have instant feelings among hearing that title, The 13 Reasons Why, and you have your own thoughts and you've created them, and that's totally fine. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to share why we changed our mind, because we were among those who, when all the headlines were going everywhere from every side, we just chose to tune it out and to not watch it. We just thought, you know what, this is too much, and we're just not gonna watch it. Fast forward to September, and our daughter's 8. We've been having a lot of conversations with her because things have come up, socially, in school, outside of school, in the books she reads, in the shows, and conversations that she overhears. And then we have to address certain things. And of course, we want to protect her innocence for as long as we can, and we want to keep her a child for as long as we can. And so are being really, really mindful what we bring to the table with her, what kind of conversations, and how we approach that with her. But with that being said, we also don't want her to go into situations very unprepared. So, just like knowing what our kids are doing on social media, and we need to know what things like BRB and IDK and other slang terms that are short for texting and talking, and every we are those parents that we want to know what apps our kids on. We want to know why they're on. We want to know what they're capable of on those apps. And so I'm probably going to be the mom that has Snapchat and has whatever, face flood or, whatever is new, that comes out for them, because we need to know. Because if we don't know, then we can't relate to our kids in that way. We don't know what they're being exposed to, what types of things are open to them. With Facebook and Instagram and all that, people can comment, and they can cyberbully now, and they can say things that are in code. And we need to know what our kids are doing. We need to know all these things. And so, just like any of that, I approach the show in that way of, you know what, I know it's fiction, I know it's not true, it was a book, it's now a show, but it is so relevant, because one, we forget how high school was. Even if it wasn't that far back, we forget. We totally forget, or we've blanked out from we've pushed down those feelings of the negative moments that we experienced, and we can only remember the good things. Or the way that we experienced high school was in a total positive, great experience kind of thing, and that's not the way it's going to be for everybody. And it's impossible to protect our kids from everything, but I will take every opportunity to learn how to engage, have conversations, and have perspective from a teenager's shoes, which will be my kids soon, and even in tween, because as we know, things are happening sooner, they're dealing with things sooner. And even if we protect them, their friends, their schoolmates, their classmates are going to be exposed to other things that we can't protect our children from, that they're going to be sharing with our kids. And of course, like I said, we can protect them and we can teach them how to choose friends wisely, but our kids are going to be exposed to these things whether we like it or not sometimes. And this, I feel like, made me really step back and think, okay, my words, my approach can be formed from this perspective, from their eyes. Because when I watched the show, there was a lot of times that I looked over at my husband and said, we cannot do that. As parents, we cannot do that. We cannot pursue our kid in that way. We cannot let things go in this way. And it was really good to have conversation between my husband and I, even if these were made up scenarios, that we could sit there and say, hey, if this was to happen, how would we approach this differently? What would we do the same? What were the signs? Because you guys, this show is fiction, but being someone who has a background with a lot of this stuff from this show, I can tell you it doesn't change. The circumstances change, the settings change, because we have social media involved, and we have lots of, our teens have access to a lot more than we did back then. And so, those things have changed, But as far as the experience and the bullying, suicide, self harm, all those things, and all the signs that go around it, this show did an excellent job of exempling exactly how something like that would go down and displaying the signs that would be missing if something like that were present. And so I feel like as a parent, this show was really good in, man, I mean, opening my eyes again to this is what we're about to step into. Maybe, I mean, we have, 4 years or so, but this is what, I mean, and we have to start, thinking about how are these conversations going to look like? How are we going to prepare our child to where when she's in these situations, it's not new to her? I mean, of course, I don't want it to ever happen to her. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is that she's not hearing it for the first time. She's not exposed to something and then so scared because this has never happened to her before that she doesn't know how to stand up for herself, protect herself, do whatever means necessary to get out of that situation. I need her and him and my son to be prepared for these situations, to know that this could happen. And of course, we're going to save these conversations for when they're older. But like, if this could happen, this is how I can protect myself. This is how I can react. This is the next steps of what I need to do. So that way it's not complete shock and they don't know. I mean, and who knows in those situations, your body just, your mind and everything, I mean, just kind of does what it does. And you just have to hope that they have the ability to protect themselves. But let me get back on, let me get back on course here. If you think that this show over dramatized all these situations, I would say you're partly right in a very, very, very small part. My high school experience was very similar to the main character. Um, and unfortunately, it did, like, watching the show did mirror my high school experience a lot and very well. And so when I hear other people saying that, it's over dramatizing it, it's making it glamorous. Well, no, it's just making you very aware that this, like, really happens. That people can be that mean. Small children, our angels, can be that mean. They can say these things. They have the ability to hurt people and continuously do these things. And it's more than just girls being girls. I think that's another thing that I really want us to walk away from this episode, and from that show, is that when you say, oh, that's just girls being girls, you are letting your child off the hook in so many ways. And it's not okay. It's not okay to say, so and so had something going on, and they're fighting or whatever. Oh, that's girls just being girls. Well, sometimes it is. We're catty, we gossip, we do whatever. But there's a very fine line to when it turns to um, the bullying, the really ways that it hurts. Because if it happens continuously over and over again, and I'm telling you again from my perspective, lived through this whole high school experience, nobody ever, put my head in a toilet. But I will tell you that every day, having people look at you, having people whisper about you, having rumors spread about you, it breaks you down mentally in such a way that it's so hard to breathe. Like, it's so hard to think past those days, and it's so hard for a teenager because you're in this box that's supposed to protect you. It's supposed to have all your friends in there. It's supposed to be your people. You can't not go. And the pressures that they're going to be faced with of, you're too skinny, so you better eat more, but you're too fat, so you better exercise because you should have a six pack, or you should, have a small frame and a big butt, or, so even if those things didn't directly happen to me in high school, I knew of somebody who was experiencing these things, harmful thoughts, self harm. Somebody had committed suicide. Somebody had gotten raped. Somebody threw a party and everybody drank way too much and things happened. Cops were called, all these things. It might not be your child directly, but it might happen to somebody that they know. And these are kind of the conversations that we need to have and think about. And I think it's so hard for us to want to think those things. Like, you guys, I'm not going to lie. The show was really hard to watch because it's very painful. It's very graphic. They don't spare you any feels. They're saying, like, this is really legitimately what some teens are going through. And this is exactly how it feels. And you feel it. You feel it completely. And it is kind of an emotionally exhausting show. And so, what I think is, as a parent, it was a really good show for me to watch because it, again, gives me this perspective. It helps me to, you know, prepare myself and think of all these conversations because 1 in 5 females and 1 in 7 males will engage in self injury, which is one of the topics that the show really brings to light is self harm. Another one is substance abuse, which, as we all know, having been in high school, hopefully you chose better crowds than I did, but a lot of the parties. I mean, I have no idea where these kids got it, but obviously high schoolers have access to it, and everybody's drinking at these parties. And not only that, but then they're experimenting with some, and then you have friends who take it further, and there are students in high schools who have trouble with substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or drugs. And maybe your child won't be friends directly with them. Maybe it'll, but they need to know, like, hey, when you see this, like, this is how you can choose to do this. Like, we need to have these conversations. um Another thing that this show really brings to light is bullying, rape, like I said, sexting, suicide, parent and teen dynamics. I saw a lot of parent and child relationships, and they were all different. And I thought that was really good, even if they're make believe, because then it just gives me, oh, like, a look from the outside in, you know what I mean? To where, like, when we're doing it, we don't realize what we sound like or what it's doing to our kids. But seeing kind of different parenting techniques from the outside, and then being able to go, oh, like, this is, this is great, but it would be better, or they would have been more open if I could done, I would have implemented XYZ. Or, instead of just letting their kids say, I'm fine, and then them walking away, like, well, like, and asking more and digging deeper into that, and to, and really knowing how to engage with our kids. You guys, this is my biggest fear. I'm so scared that, like, watching throughout this whole show, I mean, I feel like I'm talking about this like it's no big deal and it's so natural and all this stuff, but I want to let you know I'm as freaked out about my kids going to high school and even middle school as you are, if not more. I'm super freaked out because, my husband had a totally different high school experience than I did. And so I know the absolute worst. Um, I lived in a small town. Everybody knew everybody's business. And when a rumor was spread, it was spread all around town. And lucky me, because I was a new student, I got the wrath of most of that, and I was outcasted. I ate my lunch in the bathroom stall. My friends spread rumors about me, or my quote unquote friends spread rumors around me. And then when I tried to leave that group of friends, then they threatened me. So I just want you to come from the perspective of, if you didn't have a high school experience like this show, when you think it's over dramatized, and my situation, I think, is not the norm either, but you have to accept that this is a thing. Like, this is a thing, and your child may experience it from various degrees, but I know that preparing yourself and preparing them and being aware, because like I said, the stats just show, and the numbers are so shocking. Like, if you guys search the stats for bullying, for suicide, for rape, for teens in the US, the numbers are insane. I looked up the number for bullying, and it was like 1 in 3 students in the US report that they got bullied in high school. And, like I mentioned earlier, was it like 1 in 5 students in the US participate in some sort of self harm, which that is just mind blowing to me. So, would I recommend this show for your kids? Absolutely not. I feel like if your teens are going to watch this, if you're going to let your children watch this, they need to be at least teenagers. And then I would say, even further, they need to be in the right mindset, in the right headspace. Like, you need to know that their mental health is really good, because it does mess with you a little bit if you don't have that mindset, if you don't have the maturity to look at it from all angles and not just take it at face value. And if you did let your teens watch it, if you're listening, you're like, oh man, like, I've already let my teen watch this show, then I highly suggest you go and watch it, so then you can ask them questions about what they saw. Because if they haven't come to you about this stuff, like, you guys, this is heavy stuff. I mean, you don't want them talking to their friends and confiding with their friends and getting advice from their friends about this. Like, you want them to come to you. You want them to have that conversation with you, and you want to be the one to give them the advice because you know what you're saying. From somebody who got advice from everybody but my parents, I absolutely got steered in the wrong direction. I had no idea about a lot of these things, and the things that they did tell me were absolutely not true. They're myths about my period, about sex, about dating, everything. And so, if you want somebody to give your child advice, you want it to be you. And so, I suggest that if you're going to let them watch this show, that you, one, let them watch it with you, no doubt, and also think about what their ages, how mature they are, because this is heavy graphic stuff. And also make sure that they are mentally, like, you know, without a doubt, that they are mentally well, and that there isn't some sort of, um, already bullying situation going on, that they don't have low self esteem, low confidence, that they're being outcast at school, that they're being subjected to mean girls and stuff like that, because then it's going to dig into those feelings a little bit deeper, and that's something that you don't want to do. You don't want to push them down, you want to bring them up out of that, and you want to lift them out of that and not bog them down with this is what you're surrounded by, like just that negative headspace that this show could bring if you're not in the right mindset. So I just want to share with you guys that because we've been watching it, so recently, and I just felt like it was on my mind, and I wanted to share it with you guys in case that show had kind of crossed your mind, or, and I would also love to know your guys' thoughts. So over on the It Takes a Village Facebook tribe, I'm going to post a thread about this show, and then I would love for us to be open-minded and just have a conversation about this show and like kind of the topics that it talks about, and how that relates to our kids in a very positive way, because I will delete comments that are, negative. So, um, yeah, I hope that you guys are having an awesome week. I hope to catch you next time, and make sure you leave a rating or review. I'd really appreciate it. And see you guys later, or talk to you guys later.